Tuesday afternoon to you, 4 o'clock time for Sports for CLE. Thanks for joining us. Cavs getting ready for Game 5 at Rocket Arena. We begin, though, by talking Browns. Former Eagles running back LaShawn McCoy with his thoughts on Shedeur Sanders. This from FS1's The Facilities.
But he's going to start, and he's going to start early this year. I don't think the Browns will be competitive this year. I really don't. The other thing is, I got my sources. I don't know what y'all got. I got my sources.
Shady sources.
And they told me, right, and I know you guys, well, some of y'all don't think that minicamp is that important, but they told me that he looks like the best player out of the whole camp. 5th rounder, right?
Yeah.
And I was always taught, I don't care if it's minicamp,
Facts.
real camp,
Great storm.
fake camp, high camp, low camp, Boy Scout camp. Be the best at everything you do. That's how I was raised.
100%.
And if you look at Shedeur Sanders, his mindset ain't to be in no backup role with these dudes. He's in there to start. He looks way more focused.
Yeah.
But even the focus
Yeah, he
part,
does.
he looks like himself, though. And the thing is, ain't nothing changed about Shedeur. Just that you really can't see the change in the interview because he's playing football right now. That's the only difference is, he's the same dude. All his teammates always say he's a great teammate. If you look at the reports of his players in camp, they saying the same thing about him.
Yeah.
And the biggest part why he will start early this year is because you're in a room full of dudes that would struggle to start on any other team. Imagine having Joe Flacco as your starting quarterback. Where y'all going? What y'all doing? Who happy about that?
Joe Flacco did win, a Super Bowl. And the other thing is, X doesn't count as a source. That's all I'll say. All right, Tony Grossi on which quarterback most likely to be traded. This from ESPN Cleveland.
Most likely to be traded if there were a trade out of the 4 quarterbacks is blank.
Kenny Pickett.
Okay, why?
Affordable, young, and still a career path on the way up. If somebody had a high opinion of him in the draft, like Andrew Berry did, some other GM, there's an easy get.
Okay, so they wouldn't want Flacco because he's probably a one-more-year guy, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then what about the rookies? What if they, were to come calling for one of the rookies? You don't think the Browns would give up on him yet?
If they come asking right now, I'd say, call me in September.
And again, we'll see. I get the feeling that the Browns want Kenny Pickett to be, he's going to get the first crack at winning the starting job. I think Kenny Pickett is. You traded for him. Joe Flacco was out there, and you traded for Kenny Pickett. Actions speak louder than words. They could have signed Joe Flacco. They traded for Kenny Pickett. All right, rookie running back, Dylan Sampson, with what the message was from Kevin Stefanski and the coaching staff to the rookies before they hit the field for rookie minicamp.
Man, the message is clear, don't be scared to go out there and mess up. This is our opportunity, and we have to, take advantage of a full opportunity, because, we got to make the team, No, everybody that's here right now still hasn't made the team. Rosters are going to get limited and cut, and it's our job to make the team and find a role. And, this is the first step for us. There's already vets here, and that's already a disadvantage. So just go out there every time we put our, cleats on the grass and just give our best and take advantage of this opportunity.
Plenty of Browns talk coming up with Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter for plain dealer cleveland.com. Cavs getting ready for they're down 3-1. It's Game 5, Rocket Arena tonight. It's a must-win. Stephen A. Smith on the Cavaliers after their Game 4 loss to the Pacers in Indianapolis.
Cleveland has that of a regular season team to me written all over them. Whatever you're seeing from them in the regular season, I don't believe them to be that team in the postseason. And that is how they have looked against the Indiana Pacers. We can slice it any way we want to. And so for now, it's like this season is on the brink. They're down 3-1 in this series. There is no reason to believe that the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to come back from this. If Donovan Mitchell comes back, you go back to Cleveland, you win a Game 5. Nobody believes you're going to come back to Indiana with Indiana having the opportunity to close you out, and they ain't going to win Game 6. That's how this series has looked. We've seen Indiana, their shooting prowess, their athleticism, their ability to run the floor, how they prioritized rebounding last night. They destroyed Cleveland yesterday. They took their heart. That's how bad it looked. We've seen people get beat down before, just a bad night. That's not how this looked. This looked a lot worse than that. We've seen teams lose by 40. We ain't seen them losing by 40 in the first half.
And after the performance in Game 4, I can't argue with what Stephen A. Smith has said. Doesn't matter what other people believe. Matters what the guys in that locker room that are going to be playing for the Cavs believe. Do they believe they can come back and win this? We'll see. Guardians taking on the Brewers. It was game 1 of a 3-game series. Ben Lively got the start and could only go 3 innings. Forearm stiffness. That is usually not a good sign, so they will have Lively looked at. Unable to go, and Ben Lively, who's been so good, out after 3. 4th inning, and the bases are loaded. Gabriel Arias deep to right center, and Chirio can't come up with it. All 3 runs will score. 3-run double to give the Guardians a 3-0 lead. In the 6th, Kyle Manzardo at the plate, and he comes through with an RBI single to make it 4-0. Kobe Allred did a job in 3 innings, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks, no earned runs as the Guardians defeat the Brewers 5-0 the final. Stephen Vogt talking about the job Allred did.
Colby takes the ball whenever we ask, and he's been nothing but great, whether it's long relief or like today, 3 solid innings that we needed, and just continuing to keep them off the board and not really get into trouble either. Colby's been able to make pitches when he needs to, and in every role, he gets a hold in the 8th inning the other day in Washington, and 6 innings, 5 innings, 3 innings today. It's great to have someone like that.
Speaking of momentum change, how big was it? Junis getting out of the bases loaded, GM in the 4th, and then bottom of the inning getting a big hit.
Yeah, the games we've won this year, the offense picks up the pitching picks up the offense. That's what good teams do. And they got something going off Junis. He's able to make a pitch and get out of it, and then the boys respond by loading him up, and Gabby just muscles a ball over the center fielder's head. I mean, it's a lot of fun to watch.
Guardians will try to make it 2 in a row over the Brewers. It will be Logan Allen taking the ball for the Guardians. Quinn Priester will be pitching for the Milwaukee Brewers. We're going to step aside, take a quick timeout. Browns are up first. Mary Kay Cabot joins us on Sports4CLE. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program is dedicated to recognizing exceptional students, teachers, and schools throughout Ohio. Scan the QR code on screen to nominate students and teachers as Academic All-Stars and Teachers of the Month. They must be currently enrolled or teach in grades K through 12. Is your K through 12 school developing students' literacy skills to achieve success in reading? If so, you can nominate your school for the School of the Year. Students can win $100, teachers can win $500, and schools can win $2,500. Scan the QR code, fill out the forms, and nominate deserving students, teachers, and schools today. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program takes pride in honoring exceptional students, teachers, and schools across Ohio. Submit your nomination today. It's fun, fast, and free. Browns are first up on Sports4CLE. Let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hey, Dave, Frank from Cleveland. One quick question. Do you think New Orleans would be interested in Kenny Pickett since they don't really have a veteran backup over there? I mean, they do, but they're not really set at quarterback. Well, give me what you think, Dave, and love your brother, and I'll talk to you soon. You and the family be safe. God bless you.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Let's welcome in Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter for Plain Dealer, cleveland.com. Mary Kay, there's the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, now the head coach of the Saints, where Kenny was last year as a backup. I kind of think Kevin Stefanski wants to see Kenny Pickett in his offense.
Yeah, they have no plans of trading Kenny Pickett. That's not in the cards right now. They're excited about Kenny Pickett. And as I've mentioned so many times on this show and on videos and podcasts, that I believe as we head into the offseason program, and once we start getting out there and seeing where things stand with these guys, I do believe that Kenny will be first on the depth chart taking those first team reps. So I certainly don't think that they are anywhere near ready to trade him. And we need to let this whole quarterback competition play out, but it will include pretty much everybody that's involved right now.
So the two rookies both performed at rookie minicamp, Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel. What were your takeaways from rookie minicamp with those two?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. I'm going to be trying to write a little bit more about this today and maybe tomorrow. And that is the fact that I'm just not buying into the notion that there was a clear-cut winner between Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel. I've seen stuff out there that Shedeur was head and shoulders above Dillon, and I've seen some people say that Dillon won the 2 days. And if you have observers saying that one guy won and then the other guy won, I think that pretty much tells you what you need to know there, that neither one of them did. And I think they both did some really good things. I think they both operated the offense efficiently. They seemed to assimilate it. The moment didn't look too big for them. We saw the ball come out very nicely. We saw tight spirals. We saw a few little wobblers from Shedeur. We saw an interception from Dillon Gabriel. So they both did some good things. They both have some things to work on. And that's exactly what you would expect from rookie quarterbacks.
And the other thing is it's 7-on-7s. They're in shells. It isn't like anything that you would question about either one of them could really be answered until you get 11-on-11s full. Heck, you might not even be able to answer some of them until you get into regular season games.
Well, that's what I think, and that's what I've been saying, that the key to quarterbacking, of course, is how you handle the heat of the moment. It's how you make decisions during a game. It's how you execute in the final 2 minutes of a game. That's really the litmus test of what kind of a quarterback you're going to be. So I think it's actually going to be a little challenging and a little difficult to figure out who is going to win this quarterback competition, because they're not really going to know who the best quarterback for this football team is going to be until they see them in live action. And even preseason games aren't going to tell you what you need to know, because you're not really getting the full impact of being game planned for and all of those kinds of things. So I think it's going to be a little tricky. And I think they're just going to have to venture into the season with whoever they think is going to give them the best chance to win, and then be ready to pivot from there.
So in the drills, Dillon Gabriel went first, Shedeur Sanders went second. I know you wrote an article with that in it. Is there anything to be read into that?
I think so, yes. I think there's something to be read into that, even though Kevin Stefanski says don't read too much into it. You can read something, and what you can read is the fact that they chose Dillon Gabriel 2 rounds ahead of Shedeur Sanders. They passed on Shedeur Sanders 6 times. So Dillon is ahead in their minds in this competition heading into it. Doesn't mean that Shedeur can't come from behind and close that gap a little bit and gain some ground. It doesn't mean that at all. But heading into it, he is not the front runner between those 2 guys. He is behind. Dillon is ahead of Shedeur Sanders. That's just point blank. And we saw that with him going first in 11-on-11s, 7-on-7s, and also in red zone drills. And if we had shown up the second day and Shedeur was going first, then we would think, okay, maybe they're on a little bit more of a level playing field. But that's not what they're on, and that's not what happened. Dillon continued to go first, and I think we're going to see it that way until Shedeur maybe makes some kind of a move and moves ahead of him.
So the other thing you wrote an article on, Tom Brady texted Shedeur Sanders about being drafted in the 5th round. Take us through that and what Shedeur said about Brady's texts.
The text came in the middle of the draft when he was tumbling like Alice in Wonderland down the rabbit hole. This did not come after the draft, because we know that Tom Brady now is and has been a part owner of the Raiders. So now he's got to kind of be a little bit more hands-off in that regard. But leading up to it, he was able to mentor Shedeur Sanders, work with him a little bit and things like that. And he knows Deion, and they have a relationship. But basically, he texted him to say that, hey, look at my story. I fell all the way to 199. And I want to clarify something, because when Shedeur was asked about that in his press conference, in his podium press conference at rookie minicamp, somebody said, what was your takeaway from Tom Brady? And he said that our stories are similar, or that my story is similar. And he was trying to say, here's what Tom told me, that I fell and he went late and I went late, and then it's up to us to do what we want to do with it after that. I really think it's taking it a bridge way too far to say that Shedeur Sanders was saying that his story is going to turn out like Tom Brady's the greatest of all time. That's not what he was saying. And when people show the clip, they cut off the first word. And the first word was that. What was your takeaway? That my story is similar. And I just think that that's a key to how he said it and what he meant by that.
Yeah, and you know what? He gets the ability to write his story and how it unfolds. So, also found out today, it is the Vikings that the Browns will be playing in London Week 5. You tweeted that out. It's kind of interesting because the week before that, the Vikings are in Ireland playing the Steelers. So take us through kind of how strange that is.
Well, it's the first time that an NFL team has played international games back to back in two different countries. We know that the Jaguars, I think, have played back to back games in London, but this is the first time that you're going to two different countries for this. So very interesting to see how that's all going to play out. I think the Browns will probably get there about midweek. And then I'm guessing the Vikings are just going to stay over there and just come from Dublin right over to the UK. That's what I think obviously makes the most sense for them. But I think this is going to be really exciting, and I think it's going to be fun. The Browns in Week 5 are going to have a chance to see what they can do against a team that went 14-3 last season, the flip-flop of their own record. Now, of course, they're going to have a rookie quarterback, and you've got some veteran defenders on this Cleveland Browns football team that are going to want to take the rookie to school. That's what guys like Myles Garrett do, and Denzel Ward. So it's going to be very interesting. They're not playing Sam Darnold, who has now gone to the Seattle Seahawks, who went 14-3 for them last year. This is a rookie quarterback. We'll have to see how he's doing at that point. It'll sort of be early on in the season for him. Very exciting to see how this is going to go.
So the other thing that came out yesterday, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah put on the physically unable to perform list. He did kind of make a statement to Browns fans, grateful for the organization's full support and the world-class doctors guiding me through recovery. While I won't suit up this season, focused on what I can control, my healing, my mindset, my faith. The body may rest, but the calling never sleeps. And, you know, he also said he didn't really know what's next. And, Mary Kay, we've said that for a long time. Well, we know he won't be on the football field this year.
Yes, we know he will not be on the football field this year. And as he mentioned, he doesn't know what's next. The Browns don't know what's next. They didn't make any predictions about JOK beyond this year. So I don't think they want to put that kind of pressure on him. If he's not ready to go this year, there is a chance, I'm sure, that he has to contemplate whether or not he can get back on the football field with such a scary neck injury. We don't even really know the nature of the injury yet. We don't know what it's called. We don't know what the diagnosis is or what the prognosis is. But we do know that he's going to take this time that he needs to get well and to recover. The blessing is the fact that he is able to walk away from this injury. And if he has to walk away from football, I know he will be fine in his life and his career because he is so devoted to so many things. He is very, very involved in his African heritage and into humanitarian work in Africa and those kinds of things. So he's got a wonderful head on his shoulders. He's got all his faculties about him. He's got his extremities in use. And, you know, that is the greatest blessing of all of this. And if he can get back to football, that will be a bonus.
So the pick of Carson Schwesinger, top of the second round, makes a lot more sense with JOK being unable to go. Schwesinger talked about his fit in a Jim Schwartz style of defense.
Oh, I'm super excited. I mean, that's really the motto there is attack and be physical, and you know, that's something I'm really excited to be able to do.
Andrew Beer was talking about how your superpower is sort of coverage. Just wondering, have you thought about some of the big name tight ends in the NFL and what it's going to be like to try to cover them, and also working against David Njoku in practice?
I think, you know, going into the next level, you're always going to have to be looking to improve in every aspect, and whatever way they want to use me is I'm ready to work for that.
So Mary Kay, I know you wrote an article to set that up about Carson Schwesinger and how he fits in this year.
Yeah, I mean, they knew what they were doing when they drafted Carson and they spent their number 33 overall pick on him. That tells you how they feel about him. He will be a starter this year. Think about the fact that he was picked almost 20 spots ahead of JOK, and we know how they felt about JOK. They traded up to get him. So to spend 33, that's almost a first-round pick. That is lofty, lofty draft status for the Browns, especially for a linebacker. And I think that's key when you look at this. They are viewing him as someone that they believe can come in here and fill those enormous shoes of JOK. He does some things differently. He's not the same style of linebacker, but they love his high football acumen, which was on full display in the rookie minicamp, so that was good. And they have high hopes for him. And I think that fans are going to end up really liking this player.
Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter for Plain Dealer, cleveland.com, and I'm going to step aside, take a quick timeout. Other side of the break, back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
At the Ohio Lottery, we make Keno fun your way. So go on, pick your wager. Will it be $1, $2, $10, or more? Your call. Then it's as easy as picking up to 10 numbers. Use any inspiration you like. You can even tag on the booster for a chance to boost your winnings up to 10 times. Every few minutes across Ohio, 20 out of 80 possible numbers are drawn. And if enough of yours match, you win. Keno is always fun your way.
We continue talking Browns with Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer, cleveland.com. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hey, Dave. Love the show. Yeah, I just want to hear your thoughts on the receiver that the Browns signed, Deontay Johnson, the guy from the Steelers and the Ravens and the Texans and the Panthers. I just want to hear your thoughts on him because I remember him a few years, in Pittsburgh where he was a good number one. He was getting yards and catches, and then I don't know what happened to this guy. He became a diva, or I don't know if he just kind of went downhill and bounced around a lot in the last year and a half or so. Just want to hear your thoughts on him, what you guys think he brings to the team. Go Browns. Hoo, hoo, hoo.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. Mary Kay, I know you wrote an article, so take us through Deontay Johnson. I mean, there's a high ceiling there and not a lot of risk. If he doesn't work out, it's a one-year deal.
Right. Very, very low risk. He's got the veteran minimum contract. He knows that this is basically a last-ditch effort for him, a last chance for him to revive his career, save his career. The Browns have thrown him a lifeline. He's extraordinarily talented. He's got great speed. He's a route runner in the ilk of a Jerry Jeudy. Really, really good route runner. Whoever the starting quarterback is going to be, if those two guys can get on the field, they're going to have these guys getting open creatively, in a hurry. I mean, these guys are just poetry in motion when it comes to their route running and their agility. So what they need from Deontay Johnson is to basically remain a little bit humble, or make sure that he is humbled, and to put his head down, go to work, learn this system, and really be dedicated to making sure he can stay in the NFL. If he can do that, he can rebuild his career and maybe bounce back and get a multi-million-dollar contract from the Browns or someone else. Now, he will be working with Kenny Pickett. He's got familiarity with Kenny Pickett. Sometimes that can be good. Sometimes that can be bad. But he does have some timing with him. He does have some chemistry with him. And I think that could possibly serve him well. I think he should get together with him even more in the offseason and just work, and prove to the Browns that he is serious about this.
So this was interesting. We found this most expensive wide receiver rooms in 2025. And the Bengals, that's not a surprise. They paid Chase. They paid Higgins. Buccaneers are number 2 at $47 million. Bengals, $55. Titans, $45 million. Dolphins, $43.3. Commanders, $42. You look at the bottom. The bottom two are the Chargers at $17 million. Browns, $17.1 million. Part of it is who you have on your roster. Another part of it is, Mary Kay, they haven't invested first or second round draft capital in that wide receiver room in a number of years.
No, they haven't. And what they have done is really trade for receivers. They've gone out and they've traded for an Amari Cooper, an Elijah Moore, a Jerry Jeudy. So that's where they've gotten their receivers from. And then they have worked the system and lowered the cap numbers and all that kind of stuff. So they have not drafted these receivers high to the point where you are then giving them a second contract worth. We've seen where those numbers are climbing to now. So they have not really done that. But I don't necessarily know if being down there at number 31 is the best thing in the world for them right now. I still think they need another premier receiver on this football team. Now, if Deontay Johnson can turn out to be that at the price that he's at right now, that's beautiful. And you need to find bargains like that when you have Deshaun Watson's cap number on your roster. But you also have to make sure that you aren't leaving yourself short at the position. Sometimes I think they do that at receiver, and we'll just have to see if they're doing that again this year.
Yeah, it's just interesting. You know, it's become a real pass-heavy league, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Another one of your minicamp takeaways: Deshaun Watson out of his boot. So take us through that and what we know where he's at.
Well, he's working really hard. He's determined to come back. He's out of the boot, and the Browns have not ruled him out for the season. And whenever we ask about him, it's just kind of on the back burner. They expect him to miss a significant portion of the season, but at this point, no one has said he's completely out for the season. We know that JOK is out for the season, so you can do that now. You can put somebody on PUP for the season if you think they have no chance of coming back. So I was kind of joking around a little bit with Dan and Ashley the other day in the media room and saying, what if Deshaun Watson comes back out of nowhere and starts games for them this season? I don't expect that to happen. But it's just kind of ironic and interesting that right now he's not part of the mix, but he's also not 100% ruled out yet.
Another thing that happened at rookie minicamp that garnered a lot of attention, and again, I know you did this in your takeaways. Mason Graham, their first-round pick, vomited, but he was able to continue. So there were some national things that were drawing parallels to one. Dawad Jones did that and was unable to finish. That did not appear to be the same thing.
Well, it's not really the same thing, except for when I did talk to Dawand Jones about that when he was a rookie. He said that he just made the mistake of eating too close to practice. And that's what Kevin told us Mason Graham did. So sometimes it could just be something as simple as that. But I don't think it's anything to be concerned about by any stretch of the imagination. He went right back into the drill. Same thing that Dawand Jones did. He went back into the drill and he drills, and he did a really nice job. He's showing those really good hands, the violent hands almost, the explosiveness that the Browns expect from him. And once again, I think this is a defender that the Browns are going to love this year. I think he's going to start. I think he's going to wreak some havoc inside alongside Mike Hall and also next to Miles at times. And I think their opposing offenses are going to have a lot to worry about.
So again, I know that you couldn't tell a lot. Was there anybody that really stood out just athletically, speed-wise, from rookie minicamp when you looked at it? You're like, that might even be a little bit faster or more athletic than I thought.
Well, a lot of the rookies did. I mean, I thought Carson Schwesinger was really, really good. I think he showed a really nice high football acumen. He got that pick off of Dylan Gabriel. And then the running backs, too. The running backs were really good. It's easy sometimes to see how the running backs can translate to the pro game. It's just an easier transition than any other position, really, I think. You can kind of plug yourself in there behind an offensive line and look a lot like you did in college. So I think that fans can get excited about that. And then Harold Fannin had a really nice camp. He caught everything that came his way. He was in the right place at the right time. He was dialed in. He was focused. And I thought he had a really nice few days.
Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter for Plain Dealer, cleveland.com, and I are going to step aside, take one more time out, other side of the break, talk a little bit more about the running backs, also the safety spot on the roster. Sports4CLE, be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
We continue talking Browns with Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer, cleveland.com. Browns quarterback competition continues to be the topic of conversation. Dan Graziano, ESPN NFL Live, talking about it.
I would think they open up, the offseason program and training camp with Flacco as the number one guy because he's got the most experience. But they're going to try and get all these guys as many reps as possible in their rookie minicamp, which is almost always classroom heavy and not a lot of on-field work. Kevin Stefanski put in some 7-on-7 passing drills so he could get Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel some reps that they don't usually have in rookie minicamps. So they will be conscious throughout the offseason of getting everybody a fair number of reps so they can make an informed decision. It is a wide open competition among those 4 players, and they are completely open to the idea of any of the 4 winning the job.
Mary Kay, I'm curious as to how you think that lines up. And again, they're just getting into team meetings and those kind of things with the veterans and the rookies. I'm curious how you think they line up as we get ready for that.
Well, first of all, the Browns can keep this under wraps for a while because we, as the members of the media, are not out there to watch OTAs until I think it's like May 28th or something like that. So however it goes in terms of who's getting the reps first, who's going first, second, third, fourth, we're really not going to know that unless we see some video clips that give us glimpses or hints or ideas about that. But I can't agree with that assessment. I've been saying all along that Kenny Pickett is going to start out as the number one guy up in the drills. That's how it's going to go. And then I actually think that Dillon's probably going to go next after him. And I've written this, I've said this so many times. The reason why I feel like that is because of the way that they acquired these guys. So I do think that that's how it's going to go. And then I think Joe Flacco and Shedeur Sanders will kind of split the third and fourth reps after that, and maybe kind of flip-flop here and there. But I think it's going to go Kenny, Dillon, 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think actions speak louder than words. They went and acquired Kenny Pickett when Joe Flacco was out there. They drafted Dillon Gabriel when Shedeur Sanders was on the board. Those are clearly the two. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. I get that line of thinking. I keep hearing Flacco, I keep hearing Sanders, and it's just like actions speak louder than words, and those were the actions of Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry. We've talked a little bit about Dylan Sampson and Quinshon Judkins as well. Sampson was asked about his running style at rookie minicamp.
I just feel like I'm a dynamic runner with a strong, mentality when I approach the field. I take every day like it's my last day. I give my all for my teammates, myself, and everything I've been through before this, So any days I'm struggling, I always remember my why. And I have the ability to do a lot of things, which I'm hoping to showcase here and get better here, route running, catching, maybe some extended running plays, but just looking forward to the opportunity.
Mary Kay, what do you think of those two young running backs? That both of them, just in what I saw, they look like they're pretty quick.
They're quick, they're explosive, and Dillon really showed that he can catch the ball well out of the backfield, and he's got really, really nice hands. And I think that Quinshon made some strides in that regard too, and I think they're going to really try to make sure that they can get him involved in the passing game as well. So I think you're going to have a couple of guys that can both be 3-down backs and get involved and stay involved and maybe not really come off the field too much, and that you can do some cool things with them, put them on the field together at times, which I think can be really, really effective. So I think that these guys are going to be great, and I think Browns fans are going to fall in love with them.
So, Browns fans are in love with Nick Chubb. And Andrew Berry, I know you wrote an article just about Nick Chubb. Take us through that and kind of what you're drawing from the front office and their thinking about Nick Chubb.
Well, basically, and I've been trying to kind of lay this out probably for quite some time now, and that is the fact that Nick Chubb had an opportunity to come back around this time frame if Jerome Ford would have refused the pay cut and maybe tried to go somewhere else. So now that Jerome Ford took that 50% pay cut and is on the roster for a nice modest sum of $1.75 million, there is no room for Nick right now. It doesn't mean there won't be room for Nick at some point, but right now, at this point in time, they have no plans to bring Nick back onto the team, and they really haven't even talked to him very much since the draft. So Nick knows what the situation is. I know he's disappointed about not being back here. This is where he wanted to finish his career, and that could still happen. If there's an injury on the Browns, or if they decide to change that up a little bit as they get into camp or as they finish camp, then so be it. But right now, this is the way that it's going to be with Quinshawn, with Dylan, and with Jerome as the top 3 backs.
Before I let you go, let's talk a little about the safeties. Browns added 2 of them to the roster yesterday. They signed Rayshawn Jenkins, had some time with the Seahawks, and Deontay Casey, who played with the Steelers. In addition, they've got Grant Delpit. Ronnie Hickman, PFF lists him as a potential breakout candidate. McMillan was an undrafted free agent that they signed out of Pittsburgh, and then Christopher Edmonds was on the roster, special teams guy a little bit last year. Do you think adding Jenkins and Casey, does that upgrade that a lot? And what do you think about Hickman? There were spots where Hickman looked pretty good, and there were spots where you wanted to see him do a little better.
Well, Ronnie Hickman is coming along. I mean, he has gotten better every single year. I really think that he's played such a high level of football that that's showing up on the field, that he can handle what these pro teams are throwing at him. So I think he's got a bright future, and he'll get more playing time this year. But now they also have 2 veterans. They're both 31 years old. So these are not young guys, but they played a lot of football. Rayshawn Jenkins is more of your box safety, and then Deontay Casey is more of your roaming free safety type. So they've got what they need at the position, and then I think that's a spot in the defensive backfield where they will also keep their eyes open for whatever else might come available.
Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter for Plain Dealer, cleveland.com, as always. Thanks so much for the time and the insight. Appreciate it very much.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Mary Kay Cabot, make sure you check her out. Great Browns coverage for cleveland.com, as well as the pages of the Plain Dealer. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. We continue talking Browns. Bill Sparks from draftprofessor.com straight ahead. Stay with us.
At the Ohio Lottery, we make Keno fun your way. So go on, pick your wager. Will it be $1, $2, $10, or more? Your call. Then it's as easy as picking up to 10 numbers. Use any inspiration you like. You can even tag on the booster for a chance to boost your winnings up to 10 times. Every few minutes across Ohio, 20 out of 80 possible numbers are drawn. And if enough of yours match, you win. Keno is always fun your way.
We continue talking Browns on Sports4CLE. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Yes, this is Dennis from Cleveland, a long-time Cleveland Browns fan. I'd just like to comment on what Tony Grossi said about Shadur Sanders, about him not being a good quarterback. He's the same guy who called Baker Mayfield a midget, and Baker Mayfield is taller than him. And now Baker Mayfield is a 2-time Pro Bowler for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I don't think that Tony Grossi should be commenting on no quarterbacks. Thank you for listening.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Let's welcome in Bill Sparks for draftprofessor.com. Now, Tony Grossi didn't say Shadur Sanders was not a good quarterback. He said he felt like Dylan Gabriel performed better in rookie minicamp. I don't want to get into the whole Baker Mayfield thing, but here's the thing, Bill. If you liked Shadur Sanders more in the draft, you think he did better in rookie minicamp. If you like Dylan Gabriel better in the draft process, you thought he did better in rookie minicamp, because they're really not doing a whole lot that you can judge what they do or don't do well at the NFL level yet.
Right, you're spot on with that. It's all about how you preferred them coming out of the draft, and I preferred Shadur Sanders over Dylan Gabriel. But I think right now, when you stack up these quarterbacks, it's Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett are at the top. And then you have Dylan Gabriel and Shadur Sanders kind of neck and neck. And I think as we move through the summer, we're going to start to see more how this coaching staff feels about these 2 quarterbacks. I think they love them both, honestly. I think they both provide different things. Dylan Gabriel, a little bit more the mobile quarterback that, you know, can get out in space and kind of make plays with his legs, versus Shedeur Sanders, that pocket passer, classic style. Arm talent wise, they're both about the same level. They both have a little bit of deficiency in that area, but they can make all the NFL throws, and they're both very accurate with their ball placement as well. So I think right now you really can't say one did better than the other, but they both have looked very good, which is a good sign for this Browns team.
So I know I'm gathering you think Joe Flacco would be who they would kind of line up as number one to take the reps. Here's the question I have, and I've asked this of people that think that. And the reason I think Kenny Pickett is the guy they're going to line up number one, they had the ability to sign Joe Flacco or other quarterbacks. They gave draft capital and DTR. They traded to acquire Kenny Pickett when Joe Flacco was still there. And I would say similarly, they decided to draft Dillon Gabriel when Shedeur Sanders was still there. I think that puts Pickett a little ahead of Flacco and Gabriel a little ahead of Sanders. So tell me how do you deal with that?
Yeah, so I would be the inverse. I would say that Pickett's a little bit more of a, you know, sunk cost, so to speak. You know, he's a guy that they traded DTR and they traded capital for, but especially with news happening in New Orleans now with Derek Carr retiring, Kellen Moore's down there as the head coach and worked extensively with Pickett in Philadelphia. It's a very easy phone call to send Pickett to New Orleans for a day 3 selection. And either way, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, both on 1-year deals. They're both short-term guys. You have to see what you have in Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders at some point. I would say right now, just based on Flacco versus Pickett, I would take Flacco just because he feels like he has a little bit more knowledge of the playbook and having played here. Pickett's coming in. He's got some grasps of some concepts that he ran similarly in Pittsburgh, but it is a whole new playbook for him. Plus, like I mentioned, sending him to New Orleans gets you some draft capital back for 2026. Be a very easy move. I would say Flacco 1, Pickett 2, and then 3A, 3B is Gabriel Sanders. I don't think they're really on one tier over the other at this point between those two rookies.
Yeah, I would just flip the two of them. And again, I think it's very fluid, and I think they're going to try to manufacture more reps in practices to make sure they get to see them enough.
Exactly, 100%. I think we're going to see a lot of reps shared between the 4 of them. I think this is going to go down to week 3 of the preseason. I don't see Cleveland naming a starter until potentially week 1 of the season. They're going to share the reps equally between the 4 or the 3, depending on who they decide to keep or move.
All right, so whomever the quarterback is, how concerned are you about the offensive line? It didn't perform well. I think some of that was health, some of it was age, and some of it was quite honestly what you were asking them to do, scheme.
Yeah, you're spot on. The biggest concern is still health. When you look at Jack Conklin, he's had trouble staying healthy. You look at DeJuan Jones, same for him. Cornelius Lucas was a great signing, but he's 34 years old. You're not going to get much more out of him. The interior of the offensive line, you still have Teller, you still have Bitonio, who's on his last ride. You have Posich. You feel comfortable. But the tackle, if one of these guys goes down, there's a little bit of a concern. But yes, you still have Cornelius Lucas behind them as a swing tackle. It gives me a little pause, and I'd like to see them kind of parse through maybe some of these undrafted free agents or some of the veterans maybe still on the street, just as some insurance and security for this offensive tackle.
How much do you like the running backs? How do you like what they did in the running back category, given that most are expecting this to be kind of the Kevin Stefanski's wide zone, some pin and pulls, and that kind of style of run game?
Absolutely. I think they got 2 of the best running backs in terms of that wide zone pin and pull style scheme. Quinshon Judkins is going to be more of the thunder, north and south single cut style, where Sampson's going to be expected to get out in space. I think drafting both of them together, I think gives a great position for the Browns to be in, because now you have 2 guys that you can split the carries amongst, and you still have Jerome Ford too. You know, you have 3 running backs you can split 600 carries amongst. Because this team, even if Flacco or Pickett or Sanders or Gabriel, whoever the quarterback is, they're going to rely heavily on this run game, getting back to what made Stefanski successful. So you're going to be asking to tote the rock quite a bit. But I think both Judkins and Sampson were home run selections for this team.
you look at the defense. They add 2 safeties, Rashawn Jenkins and Casey. What did you think of what they did the last couple of days relative to the safety room for this year's team?
I think they did good getting veteran depth. Ronnie Hickman is a guy that's going to be asked to step up next to Delpit. PFF has him as a breakout candidate, and I can certainly see it. But you get Casey and you get Rashawn Jenkins as veterans behind him in case it starts to fall apart or Hickman loses his confidence. The bottom doesn't fall out from underneath this room. And this defense on paper looks very good, from the cornerbacks to now the deep safety to the defensive line, both interior and on the edge. The big concern still being the linebacker spot. Obviously, we saw with JOK's health, him being out for 2025, but that ultimately led to the selection of Carson Schwesinger at 33 overall. I would still like to see one more veteran added just for depth purposes. But I think this defense, top to bottom, front to back, looks pretty stacked on paper.
Yeah, it has the feel of, and it should have had the feel last year, but it has the feel of 2 years ago when they were, among top 10, top 5 in the league.
Absolutely. And not just in the short term, but in the long term too. You have Mason Graham in the middle, and when Mike Hall returns, that's your defensive tackle room. And then obviously you have Schwesinger on the second level. You still have Ward, Emerson, and Newsome at corner. You have Delpit, and if Ronnie Hickman emerges, you've got young pieces all throughout this defense that could really make a play. And like we talked about, there's still some questions offensively. When you have quarterback questions, you're going to have to rely on that defense a little more to keep games from being shootouts and forcing those quarterbacks to try to throw for 300-400 yards. And I think this defense is well up to the challenge, especially with Schwartz still having control of that defense and giving him things. In his defense, he asks his edges to crash around the edge and push everything into the middle, right into the waiting arms of Mason Graham, Malik Collins, and Mike Hall.
Yeah, that's kind of what. There hasn't been a defensive tackle that has really stepped up. Usually Schwartz has a guy in the middle that puts up big numbers.
Absolutely. I think Mason Graham is going to be that guy for him. Everybody talks about it taking a defensive tackle 5th overall is a bit of a question mark if he's not the Aaron Donald, Chris Jones. But Mason Graham is a perfect fit for Jim Schwartz, and I think that he's going to do everything that Schwartz wants and then some. And it's not going to light up the stat sheet. It's not going to be a sexy pick. That's not what Mason Graham is. But this is going to be a 10-year veteran in the middle of that defense who's going to allow others to create, Myles Garrett, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, many others to create those sacks and pressures.
What areas of the roster do you look at and go, yeah, this still needs some work?
The big ones are, we've talked about them, linebacker and offensive tackle depth. When you look at linebacker, you're relying on Devin Bush, Carson Schwesinger, to kind of lead the way. You'd like to add maybe one more veteran. You have to see how Diabate kind of pans out. And then offensive tackle depth, you have Cornelius Lucas behind Jones and Conklin, but if Lucas is forced into any action, there isn't much depth behind that. So I'd like to see either a UDFA or two, or maybe a veteran free agent off the street, just on a 1-year kind of prove-it deal.
What do you think about the wide receiving core? I know you added Deontay Johnson. I know they like Cedric Tillman. It concerns me that, Tillman hasn't he was on the verge of breaking out last year, I think, and then a concussion caused him to miss six-ish games.
Yeah, I think that's the concern because, yes, you have Jerry Jeudy, you have Deontay Johnson. What do you have in Cedric Tillman? But then you also have guys behind it, David Bell, Jamari Thrash as well. And then they went out and they added Luke Floria and a couple of other names in camp. So there's depth here, but you're expecting somebody to emerge as that wide receiver 3, which for the style of offense they're going to run more 12 personnel. So I'm not overly concerned about a wide receiver 3. I am a little concerned about the tight end 3 behind Njoku and Fannin, because if you're going to run 12 personnel, you're going to want a third tight end out there just as a blocker or power slot. So wide receiver is a little concerning, but I would focus more on tight end than I would wide receiver. But you're right. Who's going to be that third guy behind Deontay Johnson and Jerry Jeudy?
Bill Sparks, as always, great stuff. Appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much, Bill.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Bill Sparks, make sure you check him out. Writer and analyst for draftprofessor.com, also TWSN. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. We turn our attention to the Cavaliers getting ready for Game 5 against the Pacers, a game They have to win or their season is over. Sports for CLE. Will be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
We turn our attention to the Cavaliers getting ready for Game 5, an elimination game for the Cavs. First one they've faced this year at Rocket Arena against the Pacers. Let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Yeah, hi everyone. What's going on? Hi Dave. I'm just calling because my heart is sad today. After the epic collapse of the Cavaliers like I've never seen, would you in the off season try and go after Giannis? And if so, who would you give up to get him? Just the thought, would he make a difference? But this has just been so embarrassing. Despite the injuries and the bad repping, this is still really embarrassing. Have a great day, all. Hang in there. And go Browns! Woo-hoo!
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. I don't think the Cavs have enough to go and acquire Giannis Antetokounmpo. They would be looking for draft picks, and the Cavs traded those in the Donovan Mitchell thing. The guys got to play better. They got to come out and turn it up and realize playoff basketball is different. I know they were banged up, but what happened in Game 4 was it was bad. ESPN's Brian Windhorst, national NBA analyst, with what he's seen in the Cavs-Pacers series so far.
You obviously have injuries. All three of their All-Stars have dealt with injuries in this series. Then you have the fact that the Pacers are playing their best possible basketball at the best time. Even with all those injuries that they've had, if they handle their business in Game 2, it's still a 3-game series where the Cavs have home court. So you can analyze Game 4 as long as you want. You can spend the next 12 hours or however long till game time doing it. That's not the reason that they're in big trouble. They're in big trouble because of what they let go through their hands in Game 2, and you can't kick games in playoff series when you're not at full strength like that.
Yeah, that Game 2, the last minute of that, minute and a half was, it could cost the Cavs their season. It's tough to argue with that. All right, Jay Williams, Brian Windhorst on ESPN's First Take. With their reaction heading into Game 5.
Listening to Kenny Atkinson after the game talking about, we weren't prepared and we got, steamrolled. I'm like, how is that possible? That's effort. That's energy. That's attention to detail in a game of that magnitude. So, look, I think at the end of the day, you can always chalk it up by saying injuries play into that. But Game 4 was extremely disappointing to me with just the effort they came out with at the beginning of the game. That wasn't a Game 4 type effort from a team that was down, that needed a must-win scenario. This series is a chicken Caesar wrap to me. It's done.
The Pacers are number 1 field goal percentage in this postseason. Field goal percentage, mid-range field goal percentage, and three-point shooting percentage. Pacers are number 1.
Wendy, the thing about the Pacers, guys, they want you to play at a certain pace. I know it's a pun. If they get to play at their pace, they're going to be very hard to beat. This series has been about who gets to control the pace. In Game 3, it got slowed down. The Pacers ran onto the court with their foot on the gas. And whether they close the Cavs out in Game 5 or whatever, the Pacers going forward, if they control the pace, I don't care who they're playing, they're going to have a chance.
And that's absolutely what's happened. The Cavs have played at the Pacers' pace, and the Cavs feel that's their pace. It's not. They play fast and they shoot threes. Indiana wants to speed them up, and they've sped the Cavs up, and it's been horrible. For the series, the Pacers are shooting over 50% from the field. Cavs are and 42% from three-point range. Cavs are shooting 44% from the field and only 30% from three-point range. Right there, the Cavs keep shooting threes, and they're not making them. They're making them at 30%. That's a lot different than the 40% they shot during the regular season. Some of it has to do with their ability, the Pacers' ability, to speed up the Cavs. Now, last game, the Cavs got blown out. It was the first game they didn't win the points in the paint, which I kept coming back to. And they got hammered in the paint, 58-32. It's one of the reasons they lost by 20 and were down 40. That can't happen, and it shouldn't happen. The Cavs should control the ball inside. Jared Allen and Evan Mobley have to do a better job inside, and the Cavs should bludgeon the Pacers in the paint. They need to win that by about 15 or 20. And if they do that, they'll win the game. Donovan Mitchell listed as a game-time decision, but Donovan Mitchell was at shoot-around earlier today, as were Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, also listed as questionable. The MRI came back reasonably clean. Obviously, Mitchell, not 100%, but 80% of Donovan Mitchell is pretty good. And the Cavs will need all hands on deck coming up for the elimination game coming up at Rocket Arena. Well, Darius Garland, Max Strus, they say the team realizes what is on the line tonight in Game 4, first elimination game this year for the Cavs against the Pacers.
Yeah, you just got to take it one game at a time. Tonight's all we're thinking about. There's no reason to think about anything else. You win tonight, and then you worry about the next day after that. But we're all focused on the game tonight and trying to get one, and that's all that matters.
We've been through adversity all year. We've been through it in the past years as well around this time, so we know what it takes to get over the hump. Like I said, we're taking it one game at a time, so hopefully we get this one, and we'll worry about the next on Thursday.
The other thing is the Cavs were out physical. They didn't have the intensity. And when they weren't shooting well, they weren't hustling. Can't not hustle when you're not shooting well. Those two things lead to bad playoff losses without question. Again, Max Strus, Darius Garland, what the focus is coming out tonight in Game 5.
Be ready for the physicality, be ready for the aggressiveness, and be the aggressor. It's easy to say, but harder to do, and we just got to come out and do it.
Have to literally put everything out on the line because it could possibly be your last game. So just told us to take one game at a time, go get this one tonight, and we'll worry about the others later.
Again, Game 5 tonight, Rocket Arena, couple hours. Everybody participated in shoot-around. Mitchell will be less than 100%. Garland, Mobley should be good to go. Cavs got to come out and be physical, right back to the Pacers. Team that's the most physical, most aggressive, usually wins playoff games. Cavs need to win 3 straight or their season is over. That's going to do it for this edition of Sports for CLE. We will see you back here tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow at 4 on Sports for CLE.